Sailing the ocean is an adventure in itself. Beyond the stunning views and the mighty elements, people have been navigating the vast waters in search of discoveries since time immemorial. But sometimes, incredible things find them instead. You're watching the Top Facts channel, and today, our compilation features video clips from those who witnessed amazing things discovered in the ocean. So, sit back and let's ride the waves. What and who doesn't drift in the ocean in proud solitude? Let's start with some amusing stories and dramas with happy endings. Fishermen went to sea off the coast of Sumatra, and in open waters, they came across a large chunk of floating greenery, a mini oasis in the middle of the ocean. At first, they thought it was just a pile of garbage, but it turned out to be a whole composition of plants, palms, vines, and tropical thickets, forming a tiny island. A patch of land about 43 square feet in size traveled alone like a floating garden. There was no room for a person to stand on it, but the locals called it a tiny island. How it formed in the ocean is unknown, but it looks very cute and unusual. Here comes a story that will bring tears to your eyes, especially if you have a beloved dog. The last thing you probably expect to see in the open ocean is a dog. And yet, in 2021, during a pleasant boat ride, people found a dog in the waves far from the coast of Florida. The boat owner and his guests saw a white dog desperately swimming alone in the middle of the ocean. At first, they couldn't believe their eyes. A lone Jack Russell Terrier was battling the waves. It seemed the animal had come a long way. Without hesitation, the man jumped in to rescue the dog. When the trembling pup was pulled into the boat, they found tags on its collar. The dog's name was Zuko. I can only imagine the incredible relief that Zuko felt being on stable ground in caring hands. Fortunately, the tag helped them locate Zuko's owner. It turned out that Zuko had fallen off a boat and struggled to stay afloat. The family rejoiced with gratitude when they were reunited with their beloved pet. Another unexpected find near an oil rig. Can you tell us how this dog ended up in the middle of the ocean? This incident happened in April 9th of 2019 off the coast of Thailand. A brown dog was found on an oil rig around 135 miles off the shore. It's unknown how she got to the rig, but perhaps she had to swim an extremely long distance, as she could only stand there partially in the water. The workers quickly lowered a rope to the water and pulled the dog up. Bunrod, as they later named her, means survivor in Thai. She was now safe, and the crew provided her with water and food. Later, the workers transferred her to an oil ship and brought her ashore, where the vet checked her out. Since then, she has never had a solo swim again. The ocean is definitely not our environment, and here you can find yourself on the brink of survival at any moment. If left without a flotation device, you would most likely perish. Listen to this man's story. Will Franson went fishing alone off the coast of New Zealand when he caught a large fish, but he fell overboard in the struggle to catch it. To clarify, this wasn't a rowboat, but a motorboat that wouldn't turn around to pick up its owner. The situation became very difficult. He was swimming in the waves 34 miles from the shore, and the boat was out of reach, and night was approaching. Franson was at the mercy of the currents for nearly 24 hours, trying to swim to distant islands, but the current kept carrying him away. Even 2 hours in the ocean would exhaust anyone, and 24 hours would have been his last if Franson hadn't spotted a fisherman nearby. Exhausted, he couldn't make a sound, and time was ticking by the second. With each moment, the people drifted further away from him, and the chances of rescue were fading. Do you think you would have managed to attract their attention? It's simply amazing that he figured out how to use his wristwatch. By turning it towards the sun, he created a reflection that was noticed from the boat. Seeing the flashing light through binoculars, the man was seen signaling for help. He was quickly pulled on board and given fresh water. This case of survival in open ocean was considered an absolute miracle. Who knows what would have happened if he didn't have that watch on? Now, let's move on to mysteries and chilling legends of real incidents. Today's topic is the Bermuda Triangle. This troubled area of the ocean has long been considered a hotbed of paranormal activity and even extraterrestrial involvement. A few years ago, sailors made a frightening discovery. They claimed that something was wrong with gravity in the middle of the triangle. Ships almost capsized by themselves. There are several theories about what happens in the area around the Bermuda Triangles. Some believe that aliens in this part of the ocean set traps to capture planes or ships. Others claim that part of the ocean contains a layer of rogue waves, hot vortices, and whirlpools. Although none of these claims have been verified, the Bermuda Triangle's reputation remains mysterious and sinister. If you've heard other tales or stories about the Bermuda Triangle, please let us know in the comments. Maybe the opinions will accumulate and form a credible hypothesis. The ghost ship Joyita was built in the 1930s for fishing and cargo transport. With its powerful engine, it could easily cover long distances. On October 25, 1955, it set sail from Apia, the capital of the autonomous state of Samoa, taking 25 people on board, including 15 crew members and 9 passengers. To give you an idea, these islands are located in the South Pacific, beyond New Zealand, and are practically lost to the world, barely visible on a map. The journey was supposed to be a simple 48-hour trip, and the captain expected a smooth voyage. However, the ship never arrived at its destination. On the third day, a large-scale operation began. Only weeks later, on November 10th, the ship was found drifting 700 miles off course. The merchant vessel Tuvalu discovered it miles from Fiji, and what the sailors saw shocked them to their core. The hull was in poor condition, heavily tilted to the right, and partially flooded, but the ship was eerily quiet. It had literally become a ghost ship. All 25 people on board had disappeared without a trace. However, there were some other oddities. Lifeboats and the radio transmitter were missing, but the radio, with its toggle switch on, was turned to the international distress frequency, 2182 kHz. The signal clock had been stopped at 10:25, and a first aid kit with bandages laid nearby. Several tons of cargo and documentation were also missing. But there are several theories about what happened. It's known that the tragedy was not caused by a storm or equipment failure. They most likely encountered Japanese military personnel or spies who continued to operate even after the war ended. Perhaps the ship was seized by them to hide. There was also theories of a pirate attack or conflict between crew members. Chaos could have resulted from the captain's death or suicide. Investigations remain incomplete, and years later the disappearance of the Joyita is still one of the most mysterious mysteries. Do you also love mystical stories about ghost ships that sail the ocean's deserts and mysteriously rise from the dead? Personally, a few famous stories like those about the Flying Dutchman send chills down my spine, and I'm inclined to believe that dozens of witnesses over the years all over the world couldn't have lied in the same way. Here is one of the scariest legends known since the 18th century. The three-masted schooner Lady Lovibond set sail from port on February 13, 1748, headed from England to Portugal. Captain Simon Reed took his young wife Annette on board for their honeymoon. And sadly, that's where all the good in this story ends. Two superstitions surrounded this fateful voyage. First, February 13th of that year fell on a Friday, and even then, Friday the 13th was considered unlucky. And the second bad omen, a woman on board. Sailors believed that the ship was doomed. Today it sounds silly. Ships don't cancel schedules due to coincidences of numbers or carrying thousands of female passengers. But we're talking about the age of sailing ships. According to legend, the first mate, John Rivers, was in love with Annette and found no better way than to kill everyone along with the ship. At night, he killed the boatswain and took over the helm. When they reached the Goodwin Sands, he steered the Lady Lovibond at full speed onto the rocks. The boat sank and everyone perished. Later, it was revealed that Rivers had vowed revenge against the captain. On February 13, 1798, exactly 50 years after the tragedy, the ship seemed to rise from the dead. The coastal trading ship Eldridge was passing near the Goodwin Sands. The crew noticed the three-masted schooner racing towards them with its sails up. The captain of the Eldridge swore that the sound of celebration was coming from the deck of the ghost ship. It was definitely the Lady Lovibond. Exactly 50 years later, on February 13, 1848, fishermen thought they saw a ship emerge from nowhere, then run aground. They rushed to help, but nothing was found at the site of the wreck. Another similar episode occurred in 1898, exactly 50 years later. The last time Lady Lavabon appeared was in 1948. This time, a witness described the ship as surrounded by a foggy green glow. In 1998, on the Goodwin Sands, a crowd gathered in anticipation of a ghostly show, but nothing happened. The next likely appearance will be in 2048. Mark your calendars, as there's less than half time left to wait. Not only can sunken ships be ghosts, but also deep-sea creatures. Have you ever wondered what kinds of beings might be hiding under the ocean's deepest parts? Just recently, researchers discovered the deepest fish. Even in the Mariana Trench, the ocean's lowest part, at more than 26,000 feet underwater, there is life. The trench is located in the Philippine Sea, southeast of Guam. The discovery was dubbed a ghost fish due to its semi-transparent appearance. The novelty was discovered by members of a research team during an underwater expedition to study the biology and geology of the world's deepest place. Unique adaptations allow these fish to survive in such extreme conditions. Its body is incredibly fragile, as the pressure is more than 1,000 times greater below the surface, but its skin helps it prevent being crushed. These tiny creatures are just one of many forms of life that we accidentally discovered in the ocean. But how many more remain out there that we don't know about? As technology improves, maybe we'll find more to study. Imagine a fish that looks like an alien spaceship and lives in the pitch-black cosmic darkness of the depths. This monstrous fish washed up on the shore of Oregon, south of Cannon Beach, but it's a rare sight. This Pacific deep-sea fish, called the football fish or anglerfish, is a literal creation of darkness. This fish lives in the ocean around 2,300 to 3,000 feet under the water. This species almost looks like a fossil. Its terrible appearance and little angry eyes and devilish dark skin, it fuels your nightmares. It got its name football fish from the Americans. Supposedly, its body shape resembles an American football. It is truly terrifying, perhaps only exceeding by women's American football. Why do I say that? Because only female fish of this species grow to significant sizes, hunting by ambushing prey in the dark, luring it with its glowing lure. Male species are tiny and lead a different lifestyle. They attach to females, sticking to their bodies, turning essentially into an appendage and receiving nutrients. Imagine how horrible it must be to live in an abyss like this. Such a creature shouldn't exist, but fishermen from the west coast of Australia captured them on camera. They caught a huge tuna with an actual horn sticking out of its head. The yellowfin tuna is a popular fish here, well known for speed and strength, caught both for sale and sport. Their streamlined bodies and bright yellow fins are made to race through the ocean at speeds of up to 50 miles per hour. It's a prize catch, so local seafarers definitely know what it usually looks like. As for this specimen, its elongated protrusion made it look like a small narwhal. Maybe it was the king tuna. Closer inspection showed that the horn was actually more of a benign tumor as a result of an injury. Weirdly enough, genetic mutations do happen in fish, although they are very rare in this area. I don't know about you, but I get an uneasy feeling when looking into this shark's face. However, there is something cartoonish about this tiny creature's appearance. An Indonesian fisherman went to sea with his brother, and they caught a shark in their nets. When they got their catch, while examining it, they found 3 pups in its belly. 2 were normal, and the third was a little monster. A shark with a human face. Its big round eyes set close together, clearly not in the right place. Marine biologists explain that it could be a defect called cyclopia. This happens when orbits do not separate in the embryo. As a result, there is one side of the snout, but still with 2 eyes. Yes, it's comfortable knowing that we at least have an answer, but the fisherman believes that the catch is blessing of luck. It's interesting to think how it could have survived or grow up with such a problem. Let's move on to another ocean. Let's see what the Atlantic has to offer. In 2023, an international team of scientists found something unexpected in the Caribbean Sea. Their goal was to track tiger sharks to learn their population size and migration routes. But an assistant from Florida noticed something unusual in a fisherman's catch. It turned out to be an incredibly rare Greenland shark. This species can live up to 500 years. In other words, it's the longest living fish among vertebrates. Funny, isn't it, to meet her not off the coast of Greenland, but in the warm Caribbean waves. Maybe she swam there for vacation. Another species, a long liver, the Atlantic horseshoe crab, looks like a tank. They can be found in the Gulf of Mexico and along the eastern coast of North America. They belong to a family of horseshoe crabs and are among the oldest creatures living on our planet. According to scientists, these species existed for nearly 450 million years. The ancestors of these crabs crawled along here long before dinosaurs appeared. Now they are living fossils. Despite their name, they're not actually crabs. The species is much closer related to spiders or scorpions. Biologists classify them as a transitional link to arachnids. Personally, they remind me of giant scarabs. How about you? Another story about a mermaid. Sailors in Japan discovered this unknown creature, and it looks like a combination of several parts from different bodies. It doesn't kind of look like a mermaid, does it? However, that's what researchers in 2022 called it. The creature was kept in a local temple, but the mermaid was around 12 inches long and could have been a mythical creature called a ningyoi, which is a known character in Japanese folklore, which translates to human fish. They were supposed to have immortality, healing powers, and the ability to bring longevity and luck. It's no surprise it was kept in storage. But modern research disappointed the keepers. The mermaid turned out to be fake. It was revealed to be a clever hoax with a construction made of various materials. The fake mermaid was created during the Edo period, from 1603 to 1868, was made as a souvenir for wealthy people who also believed in magical properties of the ningyoi. All you need for marketing is a convincing story, and it seems at that time the unknown novelty was a commercial success. In a small coastal town in Mexico, fishermen discovered on shore a creature that seemed to embody a nightmare. It was already lifeless, but its horrific appearance, due to prolonged decay, left disgusting impressions. It's hardly possible to guess what this creature was. Large fangs, a body not like a fish, but some kind of fur. Most likely, we don't have any analogs, but before us lays an unknown creature never before seen. Someone suggested it could have been the carcass of a dead seal. But if you have a strong desire, you can search the internet for samples and compare them. In April 1977, the Japanese fishing trawler Zoyo was in the ocean east of Christchurch. The crew discovered something extraordinary in the water, a 10-meter-long carcass weighing 4,000 pounds. This was a very rare catch, and the find was immediately dubbed Nessie. The thing was, they pulled up the half-decomposed body of some prehistoric creature. It had a long neck, 4 legs, and a tremendously long tail. First thing that it did was remind them of a dinosaur. No matter how hard the crew tried to haul the carcass on board, it became a big problem. Not so much because of the weight, but because of the terrible smell. At some point, the stench became so unbearable that the captain made the difficult decision to throw it back into the ocean. Of course, they regretted letting such a strange creature go. Who knows, it might have held amazing discoveries for biologists. Not only archaeological and historical treasures float in the waves. In 2023, off the coast of France, sailors discovered a floating container in the middle of the ocean. Most likely, it had fallen off a cargo ship and drifted in the ocean for an unknown amount of time. Thus, we had 3 options: something valuable, illegal, or trash. On the principle of not letting good things go to waste, they decided to haul it on board. Ropes were needed for this, and with some effort they managed to put it onto the boat. What do you think was inside? The container was filled with boxes of brand new iPhones, shiny high-tech devices packed to the brim. According to statistics, thousands of shipping containers are lost each year due to rough waves and accidents. Of course, when a batch of iPhones is missing, it's an extraordinary case, and it's amazing how the container stayed afloat at all. Maybe there was just a lot of bubble wrap inside. But just remember, if you find something like this in the ocean, all missing cargo is documented to claim rights to them when found. Therefore, it's not so simple. If you find something in the ocean, it doesn't necessarily become yours. That wraps up today's episode. And yes, friends, the ocean is truly a mysterious place. And if you have an interesting experience, please let us know in the comments below. Right now, you can check out our 2 previous episodes that appeared on your screen. Thanks for watching, and subscribe to the Top Facts channel.